The pressure on Declan Doyle already started building before the season even kicked off. Because one bad decision with this Ravens offense could make things spiral fast. And honestly, I don't think enough people realize how risky this situation really is for Baltimore right now. We're talking about a 30-year-old offensive coordinator trying to fix an offense that lost its explosiveness, became predictable at times, and still enters 2026 surrounded by major question marks. But there's one detail here that completely changes the weight of this season for the Ravens. Because the decision Doyle has to make right now could directly impact the future of Lamar Jackson and this entire offense moving forward. Honestly, I think this might be the biggest challenge Declan Doyle is walking into right away with the Ravens. The guy is only 30 years old, and now he's responsible for running one of the most heavily scrutinized offenses in the NFL while working alongside Lamar Jackson. And when you have a quarterback of Lamar's caliber, the pressure instantly goes to another level. The thing is, Lamar has spent his entire career working with experienced offensive coordinators. Guys who already had credibility around the league, coaches with years of experience and proven resumes. Doyle is stepping into a completely different situation. He's never officially called plays in the NFL before, so not only does he have to prove he understands offensive football, but he also has to earn the trust of the most important player in the organization. And there's another layer to this that really stands out to me. Lamar's contract situation continues to create noise around Baltimore, and naturally, that makes the environment a little more tense inside the building. There's not even a full guarantee Lamar will be heavily involved in all the voluntary off-season work. And honestly, for a rookie coordinator, that's a nightmare scenario. The early stages are where you build chemistry, fix timing, and start creating the identity of the offense. To me, everything starts right here. Because if Doyle gets Lamar fully bought into his system, this offense can still be extremely dangerous. But if that connection takes time to develop, the pressure in Baltimore is going to build very quickly. And once you start looking at the other problems around this offense, the situation becomes even more concerning. Now there's another massive issue Declan Doyle has to fix quickly. This Ravens offense completely lost that explosive feeling that used to scare defenses across the NFL. And honestly, if you watched the team last season, you could see it happening in real time, especially at the start of games. The offense looked slower, more stagnant, and way more predictable than we were used to seeing. The most concerning part is how sharp the decline really was. Baltimore dropped in points per drive, offensive efficiency, explosive plays, passing depth, basically across the board. That feeling that the Ravens could break a defense at any second just disappeared in a lot of games. And honestly, that puts a massive amount of pressure on Doyle. It's one thing to take over an offense that's already rolling. It's a completely different challenge when you're inheriting a system that's losing its identity. And to make matters worse, a lot of people look at this current roster and don't necessarily see major improvements. There are still concerns on the offensive line, questions at receiver, and even doubts about how physical this offense can consistently be over a full season. One thing that really stood out to me during all this discussion was the idea that Jesse Minter might actually have a better chance of transforming the Ravens' defense quickly than Doyle has of getting this offense back to its old dominant form. And that tells you everything about the skepticism surrounding this new offensive coordinator. But the problems don't stop in the middle of the field. Because inside the red zone, things got even uglier, and honestly, this might be the most alarming part of the entire conversation. Because the Ravens absolutely collapsed in the red zone. An offense that once looked automatic near the goal line suddenly started stalling in some really ugly ways. And once you look at the numbers, it gets even worse. Just to put it into perspective, the Ravens were the best red zone offense in football in 2024, converting over 74% of their trips into touchdowns. Then everything fell apart. That number dropped all the way down to 47.5%, putting them near the bottom of the league. And honestly, when an offense led by Lamar Jackson falls off that badly near the goal line, it tells you there's a deeper structural problem happening. What's interesting is that a lot of people even started questioning Todd Monken after the offensive regression. But personally, I think it's hard to put all of this on him. When your offensive line starts struggling, when you don't have enough playmakers in tight spaces, and when key players start losing some physical explosiveness, the entire offense feels it. And you could really see that near the goal line. Baltimore got so desperate at times they were dialing up wildcat passes with Derrick Henry trying to catch defenses off guard. Now it's on Declan Doyle to find answers to a massive problem. Especially because the offense has changed quite a bit personnel-wise. Some important pieces are gone, Other players arrive with question marks, and even some veterans don't look quite as explosive as they once did. So in my opinion, Doyle won't just need to improve this offense. He'll basically need to rebuild the Ravens' identity near the goal line. And once you combine that with all the roster concerns around him, the situation gets even more delicate. And there's another issue that, to me, makes Declan Doyle's situation even tougher. He's not exactly taking over a complete, polished offense with no flaws. Far from it. Once you start going position by position on this roster, question marks start showing up everywhere. The offensive line is still surrounded by uncertainty, especially in the middle of the protection. The wide receiver group still leaves a lot of people skeptical, and the tight end room doesn't feel nearly as reliable as it did a couple years ago. On top of that, several important players enter this season carrying serious questions. Can some of the veterans still maintain the same physical level? Will the younger players develop quickly enough? And all of that becomes even more important when you have a rookie offensive coordinator trying to install a new system. And one concern I honestly understand is the conversation around Derrick Henry and the physical wear on his body. We're talking about a running back entering his age 32 season after carrying a massive workload throughout his career. That doesn't automatically mean decline is coming. But in today's NFL, you can't ignore those discussions, especially for an offense that may end up relying on him heavily again. So Doyle walks into a very difficult situation because there really isn't much margin for error here. If this roster were loaded with stars still in their prime, maybe surviving the adjustment period would be easier. But Baltimore feels like a team that needs the system itself to function perfectly, and that leads directly into another major problem. The insane amount of pressure already building around this new coordinator before the season even starts. If you're enjoying this breakdown, smash that like button to help the purple flock grow. And this might be the most dangerous part of the entire situation. Nobody in Baltimore is going to give Declan Doyle much time to breathe. That's just the reality of coaching this team. As long as Lamar Jackson is leading this offense, the Ravens are expected to compete at the top of the AFC every single year. So if the offense starts slow, the pressure is going to hit immediately. The problem is, Doyle is stepping into this role at a time when a lot of people already feel uneasy about the offense. The regression from last season still frustrates fans. There are concerns about the supporting cast around Lamar, and now you have an extremely young offensive coordinator trying to prove he's ready for this level of responsibility. And honestly, in the NFL, when an offense starts looking sluggish, criticism comes fast. And I think this becomes even heavier when you're coaching a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. Nobody looks at Baltimore and thinks the roster is completely untalented. The question people start asking is different. How does an offense with Lamar Jackson become this predictable? And once those conversations start building in the media and among the fan base, the atmosphere around the team can shift very quickly. So Declan Doyle is basically entering 2026 with very little room for a long adjustment period. He's going to need to show progress early, creativity early, and most importantly, bring back that feeling that the Ravens offense can attack defenses from anywhere on the field at any moment. Because if Baltimore manages to recover that offensive identity, the entire conversation around this team changes fast. And honestly, Ravens fans, Declan Doyle is walking into enormous pressure right away in his first year as offensive coordinator. Because beyond the natural expectations that come with coaching alongside Lamar Jackson, he also has to fix an offense that lost explosiveness, rhythm, and efficiency in key moments last season. At the same time, I also think this season is going to reveal very quickly who Doyle really is as a coordinator. Because if he can reorganize this offense and get Baltimore playing at a high level again, the Ravens will still be one of the most dangerous teams in the AFC. And now I want to hear from you, Ravens fans. Do you believe Declan Doyle is truly ready for this challenge? Or do you think Baltimore took too big of a risk putting such a young coordinator in this position? Let me know down in the comments. And if you're a true Ravens fan and love keeping up with everything happening around the team, don't leave this video without sharing it with a friend who's just as passionate. They're definitely going to enjoy this. See those videos on your screen right now? I picked the first one especially for you, and the other is recommended by YouTube. Go check them out and I'll see you in the next video.